So I had one question for you that's really broad, but I think I'm gonna distill it down to a smaller one, and
Sure.
hopefully this will be really helpful to folks out there who are launching into a career or getting out of school and wondering what the heck's going to happen next with
Hmm.
my music life. So when you started Niente Forte, did you maybe talk a little bit about, like, specifically about what that organization does and what you hope to do like 5 years from now? But also, when you started it, did you look around at the New Orleans? It sounds like you looked around at the New Orleans landscape of new music, and did you think like, oh, what does this community need? Or rather, maybe another way to put the question is, if I'm to do this advocacy for new music, how can I do it, each time, to fulfill like kind of a need in the community? Or how do you do programming? Or sort of like
I see.
a general question, like, as you think about the mission and the concept of the organization.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I can say to that that the Niente Forte has evolved a great deal, because when I first started it, it was just me, and me just kind of saying I want to put some music out there that really connected with me. And at the time, like I did it pretty much by saying to my friend out in Oregon who commissioned me to write that timpani solo, which we're going to hear like one movement of. Like I remember saying to him, "Hey, why don't you come into New Orleans? I'll just create a concert for you to do this and for us to do some new music here together." But and a lot of so there was the impetus of trying to find a way to be able to put my music out there, but the broader message of that too was to give access to works, and invite people in through the door. So really early on, a lot of my programming choices did have to do with that. Had the idea of what sort of works can get people to understand that anybody person that is coming off of the street, or students that maybe only have a limited knowledge of the classical music world aside from what they hear on the radio, like, or maybe have an impression of what new music is that I felt was like incorrect. Like, what kind of pieces can I bring that can get them to say, "Oh, this is not what I thought it was. This is really cool." And then you can kind of add in just a lot of variety to that programming to find something that will hopefully appeal to somebody, right? So a lot of the curation around the program for me was a lot of that was something that maybe is new music that is kind of minimalist, and something else that might be a little bit more avant-garde, and something else that's more experimental, something with electronics, something that doesn't have electronics, and things that are like out there and things that are not out there. And so long as you provide a pretty diverse range, then it kind of helps to also communicate the idea that new music itself is very diverse, right? And as the concert series evolved, when I brought in Max as a cohort, because he had more direct access to higher caliber performers than I did, because at that time, and even now, like, I'm much more steeped in like the marching band and marching education world than I am in the composer world in some ways, although that's kind of shifting to be a little bit more 50-50. But he had access to a lot of performers and even some composers that could help up the game of the overall professional aspect of that, and at the same time still work within my mission to try to curate something that could be very inviting for a wider audience. But also he has a very different, like, I know that he doesn't like minimalism at all. Like, we're kind of polar opposites when it comes to our kind of ideas about what music is important to us, but we
Yeah.
both have the same philosophy and mission, that we want to be able to spread the joy of new music to people. And also, the thing that really is great about it is the ability to give Max's composition students, and also some of the composition students at the UNO, the University of New Orleans, the ability to have some of their works workshopped by these world class performers, and be able to give them feedback and give them
Mm,
good recordings for their
Oh,
portfolio. Like, because
so valuable.
that's the
that's
other thing that's
great.
really important, is to be able to try to launch these careers, like to have feedback from people directly in the field already is something that we wanted to be able to provide for that as well. Also, getting into like what we're doing here, the conversation side of that is also very important, because
Mm,
Mm.
I had some feedback from the virtual season that I did this past year, from some of my friends that they didn't quite understand how much of a collaboration new music really is in comparison to music by a bunch of dead people. And the idea that when as for some professional musicians that are, say, in orchestras or in ensembles that just purely do like your Mozarts and your Beethovens and all of that, that they are just kind of the executors of a composer's vision, and that new music is nothing like that. New music is a lot more of we are working together to create this piece that, you know, maybe has your name on it as a composer, but would be not the piece that it is without the performers that we are writing for.
Absolutely.
And like particularly with my colleague Max's, one of Max's piece that he wrote for a contrabass clarinet, I like to say, and he agrees with me, that he didn't really write the piece for Carlos as much as he wrote the piece with Carlos, because without Carlos's expertise and knowledge, then the piece would not be the piece that it is now. And I feel very strongly about that too, and why the collaboration and those relationships are so important, because those are the people that you're writing for, and they have the knowledge that you don't. You're exchanging that knowledge and really creating something together, and that's what's really exciting about new music to me. It's about working with living people and having them work with you, and to create that kind of communication, that musical language together is really special.
It's great.
Is this a zoom in moment again?
Listen
Did
here,
you hear that? Please listen.
Take a note.
Yeah.